How are y'all?
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So, for those that are watching and listening, Steph and Mike are on a sailboat, an islandpacket 35 in the Bahamas. So, tell us a little bit about the boat. What year is it? It's an islandpacket 35. Where exactly are you right now?
It's an islandpacket 35 built in 1989.
It's number 50.
Wow. Okay. And you're in, where did you say? Rock something?
Rock Sound.
Rock Sound.
And it's basically a harbor. It's almost like a bay, but it's protected.
And that's
because
Eleuthera?
there's like 19-foot seas out there right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in them.
Yes, so it's in Eleuthera. We're at the south end of Eleuthera.
Okay.
And from here we'll walk to Georgetown.
Yes, and that's Chicken Harbor, isn't it? That's what people call it.
Really?
Yeah, because they get stuck there. They don't want to. They're kind of scared to keep going. You didn't know that?
No,
I'm glad I could teach somebody something here tonight.
I totally believe it.
Patchett Bay is much more protected than this place.
Well, we got as you saw yesterday, we got the winds.
Yes. Well, it's just that there's, you got to go across. I mean, it's kind of a long crossing, I think, from there. For some people, just don't want to go. They say they're going to go further, but then they just get comfortable.
Yeah.
There's like a big boating community there, and so that's what they call it, Chicken Harbor.
That's hilarious. Did not know
I've not made it yet, but someday. So okay, let's get one bit of housekeeping out of the way, and that is to introduce tonight's sponsor, which is me, Tinsley Meyer. In case you didn't know, Remax of Orange Beach. I sell Gulfront condos here in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Alabama, and Perdido Key, Florida. And my husband and I are the Myrick team at Remax of Orange Beach, and we've sold a lot of property, including a lot of condos. We're always in the top 10 in the state. So please give us a call, or actually there's the email, and let us know if we can help you with anything. So now that we got that out of the way, please tell us where you're from.
We are from
originally Washington, D.C.
Wow. Okay.
And Mike and I actually met in 7th grade.
Get out. In Washington?
In Washington, D.C. Well, we're just outside
in Northern
of
Virginia.
Yeah, but it's so close to D.C. that if you say Virginia, people start talking to you about places you've never been.
Right.
But we met in 7th grade.
It's a D.C. area.
Yeah, the D.C. metro area. And we reconnected at our 30th high school reunion.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, that is so cool. And so, how long ago was that? Is it okay to ask? when you've reconnected?
I guess 5 years.
2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay, so you guys have just been together for that's 7 years.
Well, we've only been together for 5 years because I ignored him for 2.
I gotcha. Oh, that's
I had to
interesting.
weasel my way in.
I see. Okay, and so
at the time I was living in Richmond, Virginia, and she was living in Philadelphia, so it was kind of a long, long distance thing for a while.
Yeah.
And I take it you both had jobs, and you decided just to leave all that.
Well, I'm self-employed, and Mike is a CPA, so it was easy for me to have flexibility with my job.
Okay.
I just take it with me.
And people ask us all the time, like how do you do this? Just do this full time. Are you still working, or are you?
I am still working. So I am a professional seamstress. I have actually run a sewing workroom for 35 years.
Right.
I started in clothing design, and then I shifted to interior design, and then I shifted to canvas work. So I now help people with their boats. They have a torn sail,
pretty handy.
Their canvas is broken up, or just offering insights to people. I also teach sewing. When we go down to Georgetown, I'll be meeting with someone who wants to learn to sew.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good skill that will transfer anywhere.
Yes. Yes, it pivots well.
Yes, it does.
And I help people clean up their books. Pick up jobs.
You really do? I thought maybe you were kidding. You look like you were kidding, but yeah, that's really true.
He's actually an auditor.
Oh yes. Us realtors know about getting audited by the real estate commission. Not that
Right.
kind of audit, I know, but
Hey, make sure you
but
don't get that kind of audit.
well, it's yes. Well,
Well,
we do
make sure
get
everything's
audited.
straight, you know.
Yeah, they come in and check that escrow account. That's like the most important thing. So
Yeah, no doubt.
so you started, where did you start with your boat? And you named the boat after
Our
your
cat.
yes.
Our cat.
That
I have
is-
kitty treats here, so I will pull her up later. Right now, she's sitting on the bimini. That gives her power.
Okay.
We actually bought the boat in Oriental, North Carolina.
Okay.
And funny enough, we contacted you before we bought the boat and asked you about your boat and the size of your boat and just, you know, how did you like it? And did you love that kind of boat? And we always dreamed of having an island packet.
That was the dream boat
Yeah.
for me. I had a Cal 27. And we loved going out on the Cal 27 in the Chesapeake Bay. Every weekend we'd go out there during the season, and it was so fun to sail and just go up and down, you know, the bay, and just you know.
She was we got her for a steal. We got her for $3,000, and she floated, and that's all we wanted.
Right.
And when it was time to start deciding whether or not to do work on her, we were like, why are we going to do work on her when we already know we want an island packet? So let's start the process and try and find the boat that we really want, knowing that we had easily 2 years of searching.
Yeah, in order to fit it into the budget.
Yes.
Because for what they sell for was kind of out of range at the time.
Yeah.
And we were looking at all kinds of boats. And we went down to Oriental to look at a Tiana. And we looked at the Tiana, and I said, hey, there's an IP over here. And it's, you know,
it's at the top end. Like if we really sacrificed, we could get this boat, and then we'd have to stay ashore for several years getting her ready.
Right. And
is that the one you're on right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
COVID played a factor. The guy who was selling the boat was Polish. Beyla's previous name was Tenacious.
Oh, okay.
And his sister was the caregiver for their mom in Poland, and his sister died of COVID. And so he had to go back to Poland to take care of his 80-something-year-old mom. And Tenacious was on the hard, getting hurricane season, getting ready to start. And he wanted to get rid of that boat. He did not want to have to take the chances.
And the price dropped significantly. While we were looking at the boat, we looked, because the guy showing it to us said, by the way, how much are they selling this for? And I was like, I don't remember. But then I saw they dropped the price that day while we were looking at it.
Yeah, significantly.
Significantly.
Wow. Yeah. And as a
and
bonus,
I was like, we can do that right now.
Yeah. And as a bonus,
cool.
This boat, one of the really cool things about our nav system is that it tells us where the boat has previously been. So it's been pretty cool to actually follow the old tracks of this boat with us as the captain and admiral. But
who's the admiral?
I'm the admiral. Apparently the women are the admiral. I don't quite get it, but
the first mate.
And the first mate. So anyway, it's been pretty cool, but he really outfitted this boat. It has a monitor wind vane, which was a must-have for us.
Wow.
It means no dinghy davits, but it meant that when we're sailing, we've got an extra method of
got a second
autopilot.
Second mate.
Right.
Yeah. And, nice solar panels, good system. He took really good care of the boat.
Nice.
And it just had all of the bells and whistles that we had planned on buying for the boat already on it.
So you didn't have to do much of anything?
Not really.
Well, we had to replace the house batteries and the starter battery, but
Yeah.
we would have done that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
they were old gel batteries. We put lithium in.
Yay,
And,
that's what I have.
Yeah.
You know, so and we
Good AIS transmitter and receiver.
Yep.
Garmin?
No. Vesper Marine
Okay.
is the AIS.
Yeah.
We've got a Garmin chart plotter.
Okay.
We've got an MEA 2000 run.
Right.
Right. You know, we've got a wind generator that I need to replace because the bearing in it is shot. But I have
Now,
that.
you able to do this? You able to do this stuff yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, golden.
And as a bonus, when we recently discovered that it's never a problem to ask. So someone who we met, one of my clients who I was doing work for, had a captain flying out to help her get her boat back to Florida. And I asked if I could give him a shopping list. So I gave him a shopping list, and he brought over the bolts that we needed because nowhere in the Bahamas, which I find very weird, do they have metric bolts.
Really?
So we had to.
See, you learned it right here on Salty Podcast. Okay, that's good to know.
Trust me, if you've got anything metric, bring it with you. It's weird because it's technically European, at least at some point. But yeah, so we just got the bolts, and as soon as the weather calms down, we'll install the wind generator.
Oh, good. Okay. Let's see. What do I have here? So, when did you take off? When did you leave? You were in Oriental, and when did you? Is that where you left from?
Yes.
Yeah.
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So we've been about 6 months just kind of taking care of things.
We actually came to the Bahamas earlier last year and then went back to the States for hurricane season.
Okay. And where did you stay there?
Daytona.
In Daytona.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we left again the day before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. That was the weather window.
So yeah.
And who knew that there'd be 70-knot winds out there at this time of year, huh?
It's interesting because everybody keeps going, oh, I'm on vacation, I'm coming to the Bahamas, what do you recommend? And I'm like, a raincoat. And maybe a sweater. And we've become such weenies. Half of my family's from Minnesota, and so I like 30-degree weather. In the winter time, I keep the house at 65. In the summertime, I keep the house at 65. And then all of a sudden today, I looked at Mike, and he's wearing blue jeans, wool socks, tie shoes,
and it's only 68 degrees. But
there's wind, and when you're on the water, it's like in Key West. I mean, when it's 68, it's freezing.
Yeah, it really is. I used to make fun of that when I lived in Florida. Like, oh my God, it's 70. Someone pull out the parka. But
I guess it's the moist wind. It's just so it makes it feel a little colder, don't you think?
And you just get used to warmth, and then all of a sudden, when the cold comes, it's sort of a shock to the system.
Right. So you've been gone. You went to the Bahamas around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And have you just taken your time making your way? Like, did you go to the Bimini? And then...
No. We did the north route.
Yeah, we went from West Palm into West End on the Big Island, and just worked our way.
We went down to the Abacos, which we loved. Yeah. Last time we came to the Bahamas, we were so like, oh my God, this is great. We're gonna sail to Grenada. And then all of a sudden we spent 3 months in the Abacos and never ever got further than Hopetown because it was so incredible.
It was great.
It's beautiful, but it's devastated. The thing is that not only did they get hit by Dorian, but also COVID. So they couldn't get any kind of stuff there. And so when we got there, they were actually just rebuilding. So it was really cool this time to go back 6 months later and see that a lot of the places that they were building are now open for business. And,
good.
And we've made so many friends on the island.
The people are so amazing. Yeah.
That's one of the best parts of doing it. It's just all the people you meet, It's The boating community is just so cool, and I guess you met locals too.
Oh my gosh, mainly locals, but it's so funny when you're in a marina, or not in a marina, but you're in a harbor and you look across and there's the same boat that 6 months earlier came across on the really bad day that you did and ended up anchoring next to you because it was so treacherous.
Sacagawea.
That
Well, this picture that you have on your, you have this this picture on your Facebook page, and it looks like there's an island packet anchored in front of you on that home page. On that, is that in the Bahamas?
Yeah, I don't know that that's an island packet though. I think that's Sacagawea, and I think that that's a, what is it? It starts with a C.
CS?
Oh, no, that's us. That's someone who took a picture of us.
Oh, that's somebody who took a picture.
Oh, that's right. You're the boat that's on that. Okay, it doesn't look like an island packet. Where the picture's being taken. I see. Yeah, I see. I didn't even look at that.
Another cool thing is that when people see a beautiful boat, they take a picture of it and send it to you.
Yes. Or I'll be going down the west coast of Florida, and people that have followed me will just see me and they'll take a picture and send it to my Facebook page, and they go, "We saw you going by our condo,"
Right.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a small world. I mean, it's simply incredible how, I used to live in New York City, and I always thought it was funny when I would run into someone I knew just walking down the street. But the sailing world is even smaller. I mean, you really do run into people. We're about to meet a couple, Ellis and Lisa, on SV Booby Trap. And we've never met them, but someone said, you have to meet this couple. You're going to get along with them so well. And in a week, we're going to actually get to meet people that we've been talking to for a year.
Right. We've been talking
Are they island packet people or just
they are not
people?
They're not.
They're not. But
they're okay though. If they're not, right? Well, we accept them.
They're livable.
Yeah.
And the community, the sailing community is just great.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's friendly. Everybody helps each other.
Yeah.
It's a community.
We try not to judge those with a 6-foot draft, but
in the Bahamas with a 6-foot draft.
I know. What is yours, by the way? What is your
4.5?
Mine's 4.25.
It's amazing.
It's perfect.
It's amazing.
It's amazing you can still get it caught on stuff though, right?
Yeah, anywhere.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Well, I want to go back to what you said. You had the Cal 27. My first boat that I had for about 10 months was a Catalina 25.
Oh, so it's actually very similar to the Cal.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was great for coastal cruising, but when a big boat went by, it felt like there was a tsunami or something. But it was a great learning boat. It was an outboard. Backing that thing up, it was so easy. Yeah. Those days of backing up like that's over.
It's so funny once you make the transition.
Yeah, and it felt like I went from a toy to a real boat, and I was so intimidated at first. It was an Island Packet 27 was my first, and I was like, whoa, this is like the real deal.
Yeah.
So it took me a while, and then after 5 years, I got the 320, and that was a pretty easy transition going from one Island Packet to another.
Yeah.
But so listen, tell me about your past sailing experience. Like, did you have past sailing, cruising, maintenance? Like, how did you prepare for this?
I think we both grew up on water because of where we lived, but my father's a retired Navy captain, and he was not on ships, but he always had a sailboat. As a kid, I got to sail a lot, and then my father got stationed in Rhode Island at the Naval War College. So when I was 16 years old, before I got my driver's license, I got my sailing license through the Naval War College.
Wow.
So just a 15-footer, but sailing back and forth across
that goes way back.
Yeah. And Mike sailed on the Great Lakes as a kid because his family was from Buffalo. Is that right?
Right. So my babysitter had a sunfish.
Okay.
And she would take me out and show me how to sail, and we'd go sailing.
And one of the reasons. Do you
still know this babysitter? Give her a shout out,
Yeah, shout out to the babysitter. But when Mike and I connected at the class reunion, one of the things that was interesting is that I was downsizing because I'm a professional artist. And I was like, all right, it's going to be a school bus or a sailboat. And he's like, I think it should be a sailboat. And so we both had kind of the same vision of getting onto a boat just as tiny living. And beyond that, Mike and I are world travelers. We've both been all over the world. We've experienced a lot of different cultures, and it
together.
And growing up in Washington D.C., you know, there's just so many cultures there.
Right.
It's not like any other place in the United States.
Right.
So we're much more comfortable around people of different cultures.
Sure.
So it was kind of a
and that's
given.
the fun of it, is trying all the different food and meeting the different people and asking questions, like go to the market, the outdoor markets, and say, what do you do with this? You know?
Right, exactly.
Can you tell me what to do with that? How do I cook that?
I loved conch fritters the first time I tried them.
Oh, I love conch fritters.
Okay, so someone asked Mike to help them kill the conchs. And so they brought the shells up, and Mike cracked through them. And the first one he was successful with, but with the second one, the conch fell out and looked at me.
Oh no!
Now she can't eat.
So
conch
now I
anymore.
can't eat conch anymore.
You saw the eyes.
He really looked at me like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like,
"Why did you rip me out of my shell?"
Exactly. But yeah, it's we've eaten some incredibly wonderful foods. I mean. And it just gets better because all the sailors are from different places. We had a sailor who invited us onto his boat, and he had spent a lot of time in Newfoundland. And so when he invited us onto his boat for dinner, and he said he was having chicken, we didn't realize that what he meant by chicken was a pot of chicken hearts.
Oh my gosh. How did you deal with that?
I got three down.
Oh my gosh.
Mike,
you thought they were mushrooms.
I thought they were mushrooms. They looked like mushrooms until I saw the aortic valve.
Oh.
And then Mike tried to eat one, and he started to cough and choke. And then every time the man walked away, I would try and take them off my plate and throw them back into the pot.
The kitty would love that. Did you bring some for the kitty?
Yeah, no, I don't. Our kitty's a snob. She's a hardcore snob. She doesn't.
Kitty would love that.
She prefers rainwater and I can't even remember the kitty treats, but the kitty treats are. This is her kitty treat container. You can see it's down at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah. We have that. We have those too. They let us know. They're like, okay, we're ready. I mean, they love those. If you go near the bag, they're like, you know, there's 4. We have 4 of them.
Yeah. So she's that's how we get her back inside. We keep her on a harness if we're near shore because we don't want her getting off the boat.
I was gonna say, how do you do that?
Yeah, but the kitty treats are it. Yeah, she's
Does she have like a little life vest?
She doesn't. I did a lot of research into it, and I found that they actually make it harder for cats to they're not. Have you ever put something onto your cat and just watched it play dead?
Well, they don't like even collars or anything.
Right.
I mean,
So I harness trained her, and I got the ugliest, biggest harness I could possibly put on her. And then Mike was like, "You're torturing the cat. You're killing the cat."
Yeah, they don't like that.
And I'm like, "I have a
Get
plan.
this thing
Hold
off.
on." So
they can get out of them too.
Yeah, well, over 3 months, I tried different harnesses, and then I just kept shrinking them down. And I found a company called Surf Cat that's with cats on water, and I found a great harness for her. And she does not get out of it. She does not do the kung fu flip that she had done with previous harnesses. And so if we're on water, if we're at anchor, we keep her. She has free roam of the boat. She sits basically on the bimini. But if we're at dock, we'll keep her on the harness just so she doesn't wander off. We've seen some funny videos of people.
Except for at night.
Well, at night, we always bring her in. Yeah, at night. She spoons. So at night, I bring her in to spoon with me.
Yeah, but, that's a great part of having a kitty. So what is the customs rule about having a kitty?
So in the Bahamas,
dog.
It's very complicated. It's complicated even more by the fact that I didn't, when I initially brought her over, I didn't think past the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. So past the Bahamas, you have to have an additional piece of paperwork that's from the USDA. And so I didn't know that. And then the vets we went to were very snarky. And yes, you called us and asked us about it, but we didn't realize you wanted it. So we have her Bahama paperwork, but beyond that, we'll take her to Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico is American, so in Puerto Rico, I can get the USDA DA paperwork for her.
Well, are you able to go into the other foreign waters? You just can't go to land?
Right. And that's the
Yeah.
great thing about a cat that's different than a dog. I don't have to take the cat to land at all.
Right.
So it's generally a little bit looser. I mean, you want to have the paperwork. I've heard horror stories. I've heard that in St. Lucia, if you don't have the paperwork, they'll come on the boat and put the animal down. So you really, really want to make sure that you've done the legwork. But in the Bahamas, there's a guy whose name has, of course, left me. But he is a go-to for the paperwork. And I think the biggest thing is that people think there's a rule that the cat has to be seen 48 hours before departing. But if you really go into the paperwork, it says that they're aware that sailboats can't necessarily leave at the time that their cat has been seen. And so there is a little bit of leeway there that people don't realize. And so, but there's a guy you can go on to quite a few websites now. And there's a really great website called Gatos del Mar.
Yeah.
Which is cats on boats.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's such a great resource.
And that's like throughout the Caribbean. Oh,
Yeah.
I just saw her. Did she just jump?
Yep, that was her.
She did.
came
I'll
down.
shake the treats. She just jumped off
Yeah.
of the. Oh, here she
Yeah,
is.
bring her on camera.
Come here, Miss
And then I'll
Val.
bring Salty Scotty in here. Scott, you have to come in and see the kitty.
So Beyla is a foster failure. She is blind in one eye.
Oh,
And
Aw.
as I said, she spoons.
hey, baby.
And she's just a total sweetheart. She prefers rainwater to tap water. And
Right.
every
Come
morning
see the
she bats
kitty.
me on the nose to get her kitty treats.
Here's okay. See the little baby? Scott's looking over my shoulder.
Oh, beautiful. Love that kitty.
The
That's a
kitty
beautiful kitty.
has one blind eye.
Oh.
Oh, it doesn't look
Gonna
like
get her a
bothers her.
patch. She's a pirate.
Looking little
Oh, but
kitty.
she's a pirate kitty.
Yeah.
Now our cat's talking. She
Yeah.
somehow knows we're talking to a cat.
You know, I know they do. You know, it's funny because Mike was not into cats. He's always been a dog person. And
Oh,
then when it came
you got
name time
converted.
to name the boat, we had so many hilarious names for the boat. And then all of a sudden he comes home and he's like, all right, I've talked to the Coast Guard. The boat is named Beyla. And I'm like, you name the cat, you name the boat after the cat after you're not a cat person. But
you could have named it Gato.
yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting.
Gata.
You want a short name that you can announce, and you also want a name that nobody else has. And we see some really
Oh.
incredible cat names on boats.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So she's just
Yeah,
been given a handful of kitty treats, and she's down at my feet.
She's happy though. That's good. The pirate kitty. I love
Yeah,
that.
and she is really happy. I think that I mean, the very first crossing we did was a little bit treacherous, but I had nausea medication for her.
Yeah.
And
I've
I
worried
gave it
about
to
that.
her,
You know,
and we
people say, "Have you
discovered that-
taken your cats?" And I'm like, I don't think they would like it. You know,
Yeah.
the house moving.
I think, yeah. Well,
Right.
it is your house.
But yeah, I think you have
gotta
to
keep it
raise
protected.
them on the boat.
Yeah. No, she came on the boat at 7 years.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah. But she's done great. I mean, we
Well,
took the
I'm
mast and made the scratching post up the mast.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, so you talked about your sailing experience. How about did you have any prior cruising experience, like what you're doing now?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. How about
None at all.
maintenance?
We sent Mike off to boat camp. He
I
went.
got my ASA
104 and
We did all of
103.
that.
bareboat skipper.
And while
certificate.
while Mike went off to get his certifications, I went off to wilderness first aid training. So
Wilderness
first
say
aid
again?
training.
Oh, okay,
So-
yeah.
So I have yet to have Mike need a staple, but I've got them.
Well, all right, yeah. I in captain school you have to take a first aid class and CPR and all that. So I got all that, but I don't know if I remember it though. That's I need to go back and refresh.
Yeah. You're
Because
supposed to
this
get
guy-
recertified every year, I think, with the first aid and CPR.
Probably if I
I've
was a
had that.
captain for hire.
What's that?
Probably if I was a captain for hire, they might have different rules.
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've got suture kits. We've got backup medications. Both of us have to take lifelong medications. So we got 9 months worth just to kind of prepare us.
Well, what about maintenance? Did you already know how, Mike? Did you already know how to fix stuff like work on a diesel engine and all that stuff, or any electrical background? You did.
Yes.
You just grew up doing that. You learned
Yeah,
from your dad or something.
I worked on my own cars when I was growing up. I
That's
was
nice.
in
Steph,
was
you're lucky. You're lucky,
contractor
lucky.
Yeah.
I was a contractor and I worked with machines for over 20 years.
Nice.
I know electricity. I know all these
Yeah.
plumbing.
Yeah.
I owned investment properties that I had to maintain.
Ah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it comes, you know,
That's
I've
handy.
got experience in that, both with alternating current and with direct current. And now with boats, which is different than houses. It's different than RVs because you really need a galvanic isolator on your boat. Otherwise, your zincs are going to go right out the door, and all the metal that's exposed in the seawater, if there's stray current, all that metal is going to deteriorate.
And that you keep a bunch of those on the boat, a bunch of zincs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We keep spares of, I mean, it's so funny because I think that 50% of your boat is like your everyday living. And then the other 50% of your boat is just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a nice thing about an IP35 is it's got good storage.
Right.
We pulled our toilet and put in a composting toilet. So then where our holding tank was became an extra storage space.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, but even if you've got doubles of everything, there's something you don't have.
Right. And to get it shipped in, it's a little costly. They like to tax you, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Sure.
But that's why, I mean, I go back to earlier, we had a situation where our dinghy was damaged severely by someone, and everybody was giving us all these great options for how to repair the dinghy, but none of those options were available to us in the Bahamas. All we had was the little stupid tube that comes in the repair kit, which it turns out barely covered a 3-inch piece of patch. It never occurred to us that we might have a larger issue. So
and you couldn't get any of that there, huh?
You really can't.
No.
You really can't. Like I said, you can't get basic screws. It's I mean, you go into grocery stores and what you can get is so hilariously expensive. I mean, I took photos of a roll of toilet or a 4-pack of Charmin cost $27.
I saw that on your Facebook page.
And then
I was like, whoa.
Then there was the $75 Downy. I mean, I don't use fabric softener, but if you do, $75 for a container of Downy. So that's where
buy new clothes for that.
Yeah, exactly. But learning to kind of think on the fly, like how can I get what I need, and because I'm a seamstress and I do a lot of this catamaran, I just did all of the interior window covers on. I used over 200 snaps. Well, it never occurred to me I was going to use 200 snaps, so all of a sudden I was out of them. And you certainly can't get Amazon here. And so I just went to the Georgetown group and said, you know, we'll be there in 1 to 2 weeks. Is there anybody coming from America to Georgetown who can bring me a bag of snaps and a couple of zippers? And so many people stepped up and said, I will be there this day. Tell me what you want. So someone gave me their home address. They entrusted me with their home address in America. And I entrusted them and made a purchase of, you know, $25 worth of snaps. And he's bringing them over on Thursday. So you have to realize that most of the boaters out here are here to help you have the same experience they're having.
Right.
You just really have to think outside the box.
That's great. That's encouraging, because I know people like one of the question that I got, the questions from Jessie on the Island Packet Facebook page. She said I won't be able to watch tonight, but I do have some questions, so she'll watch it in the replay. storage tips for food, tools, spares, gear, etc., for living on their IP-35 as long-term liveaboards and making long passages. He and his wife have an IP-380, and they will be living aboard in the future. So
Cool.
they kind of want to see what kind of tips you can offer for that kind of thing.
Well,
You've kind of already been covering some of it.
yeah, but
Where
first,
are they going to be sailing?
yeah, that's an
Number
important
one.
question.
He didn't say that.
Okay.
But he did say making long passages. So
Yeah.
I would assume that means, going out of the country.
Yeah, first and foremost, send us a friend request because we're willing to answer 24 hours a day if there's something we can help
Okay.
you with. And a ton of other IP people will do the same. There's so many IP people out there. Hayden Cochran has a 35, so it's been really helpful for us to actually talk to him about his boat because it's the same boat we have.
Right.
But gosh, I mean,
and he used to have an IP-27. So when I had an IP-27, he had one for, I don't know, 15 years or something.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, and so he was able to help me with that. But he can help with any.
Yeah,
actually.
he really can. He really can. And such a great couple. And we were blessed to meet them in Annapolis at the boat show. But as far as storage goes, I think the first thing is to take all of your power tools and convert them to cordless and the same brand. So everything we use is Ryobi. So our little handheld vacuum holds the same battery that our drill pack does. So we don't have to have a bunch of different brands on the boat.
Smart.
Food. We're working our way through canned goods right now, and I'm trying to think if there are like things with, the fresh food is the hardest thing. So meat and vegetables are the two things that we have to get on shore. We can't bring those with us.
Well, we can bring them, but
they only last so long.
They only last so long.
Yeah, a loaf of bread on our boat lasts 6 days if you're lucky. And we've heard to stick a piece of celery in there and the bread will last longer. But on our particular,
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's boat galley is a really great place to go for just ideas that will help you preserve your food.
And do you have a DC fridge and a freezer box and all that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have it was converted from a half freezer to a half fridge to one of those Adler Barber. So it's a little box freezer that kind of keeps the rest of it. But we blew a fuse in it. And so there was 3 days where we were in a panic.
I had that happen,
Yeah, and we weren't sure if it was the fuse or not. So there you are, a refrigerator down. Luckily, we brought along a freezer refrigerator cooler box that you can
chest freezer that's AC or DC.
Yeah. And so I think it's a really good idea to have it on the boat. Now running it all the time will just suck your batteries dry.
Yeah.
Right.
So we only use it when we have to. But
that's what we use. We put a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. And
while we troubleshooted the problem.
Yeah. And we were lucky that we were in a town that had fuses.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, because we did not have that particular fuse.
Yeah. And you honestly, you go to places that are very
How much was it?
Green,
$1 million for a fuse.
It actually wasn't. No, that wasn't that bad. But you go to towns that are really big, like Green Turtle Key is really a popular, famous. Everybody goes there. But the hardware store has got like 3 shelves. Like they almost have nothing. And then what they do have, you have to deal with the VAT tax and the import fees and all of those kinds of things. So you really want to try and look
They pay that all the time. The locals have to pay that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no harm, no foul. I mean, I get why it's expensive. I get why you're charging this, and I'm okay with paying that price. But the bigger issue is, do you even have what I need?
Right.
So you really want to, your tools, I mean, I'm trying to think of tools that we regularly use. The grinder and the drill are probably the 2 tools we use the most. I mean, we've got other tools, but we haven't had to use them.
Right.
And then again,
grinder. What do you use a grinder for?
Cutting metal. So
stainless steel.
Yeah. So we have hacksaws, but it's easier to cut stainless. Such a pain in the butt to try and do it with a hacksaw. And we needed to make a new motor mount for one of our outboards because we have 2 on board. And I was like, oh, just give me the hacksaw, I'll do it. And like after about like 15 strokes, I'm like, okay, this sucks. I guess if there was one tool you really, really, really would want to have on your boat, it's a cordless Dremel, like a multi-tool. Because you can get cutting blades, you can get drill bits. There's lots of little things you can do with it. So
well, you guys are the right people to ask about preparedness.
Now, I want to make something very clear. We have the ugliest island packet in the fleet.
Oh, please.
Oh, wait. Let me show a picture. What are you talking about? What is that about? I'm going to put up a picture. There it is.
Yes. Do you see the Coors Light?
The Coors Light.
If you zoom in, that blue part is all beer.
Oh.
That's provisioning.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought that was like water tanks or something.
Oh no, that's Coors Light. We in fact will contact them and see if they sponsor you because we've just promoted them. But
okay.
So that's another thing in the Bahamas. A case of beer is about $75.
My gosh.
So if you are a beer drinker, and we both are,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Well, I mean, there goes your budget. The first time we came, we didn't know better. And we spent a lot of money on beer. This time we came.
I mean, liquor is.
But we don't drink liquor.
Yeah, but neither of us really drink liquor. So.
So you were just drinking a $4 beer, but you got the different kind, and it's $1.
$1. Bush crack. How's that for a name?
Bush crack.
Bush crack. Hold that up. Hold it up to the
Bahamian beer.
Here you go.
But when I talk about the ugliness of our boat, we are first.
I see crack.
Yeah. May want to rethink that one, but we
not crack.
It's not crack.
We are committed sailors, so we're not so good about the bright work. When we bought the boat, the teak was way overly varnished and horribly peeling. It looks like it has a skin disease. And someday when the weather is right and I have the time because I'm not doing other work, I will strip the teak and redo it. But right now we don't. Making a pretty boat. If you want to sail, it doesn't matter what your boat looks like. Does it float? Does it have the amenities you need?
Is it?
Are the bilge pumps working?
And are the bilge pumps working? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't, the beauty of a boat is really great. I mean, we're very lucky, and Island Packet's a beautiful boat, but so many Island Packets go by us and go, is that an Island Packet? Because, it's just not as pretty.
What do you mean by that?
Right, exactly. We've got the lighter yellow color. You know how they have like 2 different colors, but so our teak is ugly, but our boat is incredible. I mean,
well, the teak. I mean, we could just remove the varnish, and leave just the teak natural, and that's what I want to do.
Seen a lot of that.
Yeah,
that's probably eventually what I'll go to because I do pay somebody. I've tried to do it myself, and I was like, my time is better spent like over here earning some money,
Yeah.
I'll just pay this person.
I got a great teak worker I'll recommend to you offline. But
okay.
But for us it's
give them a shout out.
It's getting actually her name is Tammy Levi. And she's a teak worker, and actually she's really close to where you are.
Oh,
and
really?
She goes on to boats and she does just incredible teak work. And when she's not doing teak work, she's a pet sitter. And
nice.
But she's just I will make sure on my page I post some pictures of her work because she's just really, really talented.
Is she in Destin or
she's in Destin.
Okay.
She's in Destin.
Right. So someone could just like put her up on the boat while she's working on it. She can drive over from that's about 2 hours away.
Yeah. So she's just the work I've seen her do on boats is just it's almost embarrassing that we're friends because every time we talk about something new she's shown, I'm like, I can't show you my work. I don't want you to have a heart attack. But again, at the end of the day, it's like a fancy car versus a nice old Subaru. We've got a nice old Subaru here. It may need some bright work done on it, but she gets from point A to point B in a timely manner. Safety is our first and foremost priority. When we're in a harbor and we've got crazy winds like we had yesterday, up to 40 knots, and we're looking at our boat bouncing versus a fin keel that looks like it's just, I feel so bad for the people on board. I mean, I'm horrified to see how much they're bouncing around.
I mean, you know, it's just crazy.
It does feel safe. It just feels, to me, it's like, I know that, you know, within reason, it's not going to flip. It's not gonna
right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
It feels safe. It's not going to win any races, but you're safe on it.
We've been cutting up to 7.5 knots.
Who's in a
rush? Yeah. That's flying.
And our rule is no rush, no deadlines. We are going to circumnavigate, but we are going to do it on our timeline. When we're done with the place,
about that. Tell me about the circumnavigating. Oh my goodness.
So
what's your route?
We're just going to follow the trades. We're going to go through the canal, go out the other side, go to the.
So you're going to go all the way down? Are you going to go all the way down to the bottom of? You're going to do the whole Caribbean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to go down to Grenada to the ABCs.
Yeah.
Go across.
Yeah.
Careful.
Over
careful, but there's a couple places you want to be careful about.
Well, for sure. For sure.
Very aware of these.
Don't put yourself in bad situations.
Never.
There's enough resources out there now that you can. I can't remember the website, but there's actually a website. Noonside is great, but there is a website that actually tells you all the crime that's happening in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
From like the basics, someone got their wallet taken to someone got their boat taken. But I mean, you don't want to be foolish. I mean, they just put out a warning about Nassau and some murders
Jamaica
that are happening. But you know, the murders are happening at 2:00 in the morning in the really, really bad part of town. So my first instinct would be to say, don't be out at 2:00 in the morning in the worst part of town.
Yeah, you know, and it's always that's a place that you need to respect is Nassau at any time, even, you know, so staying on the boat at night and with your man.
See, we won't even go there. We won't, you know, it's not worth the fear and effort of going there.
Right.
I mean, there's no fear going there, but why do we want to go there?
Yeah. It's so beautiful out here. Nassau is a city. If we want a city, we'll go back to DC.
Yeah.
Here is the water. I can't describe the water. It's just the most incredible color. And we're in 8 feet of water right now. And you can look down and you can see the bottom.
Right. You can see your anchor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just incredible. Why would you go to a city? Why would you want, you know,
I did go through there on my boat with the intention of going on. That was the furthest I made it. Then it was time for me to get back to work. But it got old quick.
Yeah.
You know, in Nassau.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about a boat. Once it gets old, you can move on.
That's right. That's right. So is there any other tips about your gear? We kind of covered the tools, the spares.
I guess a big tip I just learned is borax. It was so damp here that everything started to grow. And I didn't know that everybody's always talking about vinegar, but I got a container.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a good old-fashioned box of borax, which costs like $13 here. And it's a 1/4 cup of borax to 4 cups of water. And you mix it up.
Wipe it inside.
And you just wipe everything down, and it stops it from growing.
Nice.
So the borax was a big learn, and that was just a recent learn. Composting toilets. Don't think that you can buy your medium here. So some people use coconut coir, we do. Some people use peat moss. Some people use a combination of both. They're not available here at all. So you really have to make sure that you have all of those materials with you. Bring toilet paper. If you're paper towel people, bring paper towels. Even if you're not paper towel people, bring paper towels. Because there are things that you don't want to use cloths for. Bring a 5-gallon bucket. I do all of our laundry in a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
I use a 1/4 cup of OxyClean and an Earth Breeze laundry sheet. And I use a plunger to agitate.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
And then I take everything out and I hang it along the boat, and it dries quickly. Bring lots of extra clothespins because they rust easily. So all of our clothes are covered in rust stains.
Oh, they do rust. Yeah,
They do quickly. Bring books. I mean, as a kid, like my idea of like the perfect world would be a place like I wanted to be a librarian because then I could read all the time. I read so many books, and every place you go, if you go to the laundry room, someone has traded the books out.
right.
And a lot of times they'll put where they were last when they got the book. So it's kind of cool to like get a book and then find out that it's been in the Marquesas, or it's been in Maine, or it's been in Canada or something.
Or,
and then
so, cat, get out of the light.
so the reason the light has changed is because the cat is discovered.
There's a big shadow. There's a big cat on your boat.
Right, exactly. Well, that would be Beyla.
Well, we were up in Governor's Harbor, and we were anchored out from a dock that was, or actually a beach at the fish fry.
Yeah.
That was across the street from the library.
Yeah.
And the library had a
Free book box.
free book box.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the lady came out to load it, and of course I had ulterior motives. I helped her load the book box, but I nabbed a couple of books, and I read a book that changed my life. And and I've read books that I never ever in a million years would read and will never read again. But it's fun to kind of just take yourself outside of your normal box.
And then we pulled how many books? 3?
From our boat?
From our boat.
So we took boats from our boat and got rid of them because you only have so much space.
Yeah,
them in
yeah.
the
You don't want to
box.
keep that on there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what I like to do since I sail by myself a lot is to download audiobooks. And
Yeah.
I always like
We do that
to
as well.
download books about where I am. You know, there's always fiction about where you are that's based on some reality of locations and everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for me to read on if the boat is really rocking.
Right.
I'm like, ugh.
Well,
So
and books are
it's
great
easier
on
for me. It's
passage.
better for me to listen to it.
Yeah, it's great on passage as well.
They can definitely help with seasickness because you're kind of focused on the book instead of, oh my God, I think my stomach is about to
Well,
come
just
out.
looking at whether it's a book or your phone reading it off your that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm in a rough boat.
No. Yeah. And I
I'll
didn't
just put the audiobook on and it just takes me away, and
Yeah, it's amazing. John Kretschmer, I cannot recommend enough his audiobooks.
Okay.
He is a crazy nutbag sailor who
He's
pushes
not
the
crazy.
limits. He's really good. He's a
Sailor.
serious sailor. He's really good.
Is it fiction? Is it fiction?
No, it's all nonfiction. It's all his life on a boat.
Cool. That'd be something I would listen to.
In his 20s, he went around Cape Horn
In a Contessa,
No.
in a Contessa 32.
alone.
Oh no. Oh my
In a
God.
Contessa 32.
And then there's another book I have to recommend.
There's people out there listening probably going, that's not a big deal, but it is to me.
Yeah. It is a big deal. Two things. One, another book I really can't recommend enough is called A Sail of Two Idiots.
Oh, yes.
And I read that book out loud to Mike, but it's about a
Yes.
couple that lived in Arizona who bought a catamaran and had a captain take them out to the Bahamas and then left them, and they spent a year on the boat and learned to sail.
Wow,
But
that'd
yeah,
be something I'd like to read because I've read
it's-
stuff like that, but I haven't read that one.
Oh
Oh,
my
that's a
gosh,
great book.
It's so funny and tragic and intense, and I learned so much from it because I think a lot of books out there are made by people who've been sailing their whole lives, which is really great. But you kind of, as a new sailor, or even, I guess we're intermediate sailors. You really want to.
You've made up for you've done a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah,
like me.
and that's what we really want. What we want to know is about the people who messed up, not the people who, and everybody messes up. But
Everybody
the silly things you didn't know, like the absolutely incredibly silly things that seem so obvious, but when you're in the moment and living on a boat, you're basically in survival mode in your house.
Yeah.
So you have to, there's just so many crazy things. And, a lot of these Facebook pages. You get the people who ask an honest question, and then you get all these people who are like, how dare you ask such a stupid question? There's no stupid question. There's just not.
None.
You can,
And that's what's so great about the Island Packet site is that there's just everything that has been asked before you even thought about asking it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't find it, you can go ahead and put your question out there.
Yeah.
And then 10 people will be like, boom, boom, boom. They'll answer.
And you confront them. And then all of a sudden you're like talking to someone who you'll never meet because they're on the Pacific side and they're up north and they just want to sail their area.
Right.
But just
we should probably tell people, for those that don't know what we're talking about, it's the Island Packet Yacht Owners Association Facebook page.
Yes.
If you're an owner, or I guess even if you're thinking about owning one, I don't know what the criteria is. It's been a long time since I joined.
I think that it seemed like at first you had to give them your shoe size and IQ, but I think it's become a little bit more lax because they realize that a lot of people who are joining the group are thinking about buying island packets.
Right. Yeah.
And but
there's boats in there of every size. People have, like me, I have a 320 when I had a 27. There are other people with 27s on up to, I don't know what the biggest one is.
I don't
in
know.
The 50s
or
something.
We have some friends who we met last year here, and it was just a fluke. They said they were crossing and they were looking for someone to cross with, and we couldn't cross with them. But we stayed in touch, and they were, I think, on a 370, but they've just bought a 485. I think they bought like the biggest one you can get.
Is that the biggest one?
I don't.
I think so.
Somebody could answer in the comments.
They're so huge. They're so huge.
That is a big boat. Yeah.
I mean, remember that. And these guys, I think, in fact, they've run he's a diesel mechanic. So, I mean, those guys are fully equipped to take on that boat. But for Mike and I, it's like, don't take on more than you can handle. Right. We knew that we could get a bigger boat, but the 35 is the right amount of space, the right amount of storage, the right amount of safety.
For two people
and a cat.
Well, there's actually, that's before I got my 27, actually, I read that in a book called BYOB, Caribbean Island Hopping, written by Captain John, I believe. And it said he started out on a big boat and he slowly tailored it back because then he says, do not get bigger than you need.
Right.
Then it's not necessary. It's more expensive. Everything is like not just double the cost, but triple the cost.
Exponentially.
Yeah. There you go. That's the CPA in you right there. It's not even like double the size, double the money. It's like triple the money.
Yeah, it is. And if you're thinking about buying an island packet, everybody's always talking about charters. For us, we have a very tight budget. We're self-employed. What we spend, we have to actually get back. So we would never consider doing a charter. What we would consider doing is going on Island Packet and saying, who's in Staniel Key? Who's in Stuart, Florida? Can we come out for a couple days on your boat? Or can we come out for a day? Don't take people overnight unless you really know them. And even then, don't take them overnight.
That sounds horrible.
Overnight's a different commitment. People take different times in the bathroom. People take different times to make coffee. And when you're in a tiny space, you're like really comfortable with it.
I think I talked about this with Blaine or somebody. Did you see the interview with Blaine? Blaine Parks. He's like the Island Packet delivery guy. If you need your boat moved, he's the guy. Or he'll train people on their boats when they get a new boat.
Nice.
He'll do passages with them. Like he's that guy.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
So he was I was saying I don't think a lot of people really know how uncomfortable you can get. Like you have to really want to be there, and that's not for everybody. It's even Salty Scotty. My husband doesn't always want to be there. That's why he's seen me on solo. And I just we have it worked out. He comes when he wants, and that's fine with me. Like I said in my last interview, I said I'm a latchkey child, so I'm very independent. I grew up as a Gen X. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about our boat is that there are doors. So if I need space, I can, for all of the energy I put out to meet people, I need an equal amount of energy just to myself. So it's really nice to know that I can go into a room, I can shut the door, and I can read a book all day long.
Right.
You know, it's just, you know, you have to identify your spaces very clearly
Well,
when you're with
that
someone.
that reminds me. That brings me to my other question. Do you have any advice? I don't know if you guys are married or if you're
My
your
boat.
partners or. But
I was
do you have any advice about couples on a boat?
Well, certainly do a power of attorney if you're on a boat with someone, because there are a lot of countries where if
good.
something happens,
There's some advice right there.
yeah,
That's
you
great.
you need to know that if you, and we've seen it in the groups that we follow, we've seen it in boaters that we followed. You know, one of the people that we follow, her husband died of COVID, and sailing brick house, and it's a fairly popular. It was, for us, it was one of the go-to places we saw for a YouTube channel, and he died of COVID, and it was a genuine shock
in South Africa.
And you don't know what a country's laws are,
Goodness.
but if you have a power of attorney, at least you're able to make decisions in a crisis.
Is that valid in another country?
Oh, I think so.
I would think
That's the same way that if you're married to someone, it's valid in another country. I mean, it's no different than a legal document that says you're married. So that's a good question. I think that's something that people should look up.
If any attorneys are listening, just go ahead and comment on that.
Someone can pop in. Mike and I have Dan insurance, which I recommend to everybody. It's affordable and it is good.
For sailors.
For sailors, you know, if there is a crisis.
Oh, they have, okay. Because I renew it when we go diving, but it's also good for traveling and cover
it
your.
Is absolutely not limited to divers.
That's what we have it for.
Yeah. So we also have our own health insurance. And then obviously you look at the countries you're going to. For me, I look at what my medications are and whether or not I can refill them in other countries. But we're not married. We hope to never be married. We're very, very happy with our situation. Both
have been married.
Yes, we have both been married, and we're very, very. It's very funny though. I have to refer to him as my husband because when you're in another culture, people cannot grasp anything but he's your husband and he's in charge. And have you asked him first? You have to, you know,
what do you just say? Yes, I have.
Yeah. So,
my mother calls her my wife.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It is good to study the cultures you're going to. I mean, right now we're in an area that's heavily influenced by America, but as we go to other countries, you know, we met a woman who's an aid worker who was getting ready to go to Chad for a year, and so she was sailing on a boat for 2 months before she left. But she was talking about how she's in charge of aid. She's with Doctors Without Borders. And if a man came up and asked her something, it was a crisis. She could not answer that question. She had to find a man to answer that question. So it is important to know your culture, know the people around you. Don't assume that they're going to accommodate you. You're a guest in their country, period. Yeah. What else is coming to mind?
I read one of those stories before I bought my first boat, about a sailing couple from Canada, and when they got down to, I don't know what Caribbean island they were on, both of them had lost a lot of weight, you know, by the time they made it all the way down there. And so the local women thought that she didn't know how to cook because her man was so skinny.
Exactly. Well,
and so they kept offering to teach her how to cook. Like, she knew how to cook. Yeah. And they kept trying to bring food to him, and it was just a different mindset.
I get that. I've got a while.
They were like, that poor man, you know.
Yeah. No, but I totally get that. I mean, we've been on the boat this time around. We've been on the boat for almost 3 months, but I've lost 20 pounds.
Wow. And it's not, congratulations.
It's not, thanks. And it's, you know, I mean, I always knew when I got on the boat that was going to happen. And I tell everybody, before you get on a boat, do yoga. It's a really important thing to learn for several reasons. One, you don't want to throw your partner overboard, but, and that will get you centered. But more importantly, you'll fit into places that you never, ever thought you had to. I mean, we're very lucky. We're both very tall, so we can reach, but we can't always fit in.
Right.
To the place
well, if you can
have
reach something, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm 5'9", so I know about
so
the tall thing.
So am I. Okay. So, and Mike is 6 foot 2.
It comes in handy sometimes, but
it does, but it doesn't when you're trying to get underneath your water tank.
Yeah. Well, Key West John, somebody else that I've referred to on my channel, I interviewed him recently. He always refers to working on the boat as boat yoga.
Yeah,
You got to
but-
get
it is.
yourself in a.
Yeah. You totally are. You totally are. And not every day is a great day. We have days where we're ready to kill each other, but we tend to kind of sit down. We try to find that time of day where neither of us is too far gone into the stress or too early to
Yeah.
I'm a morning person. And we try to talk about it. We try to say, like, what's working, what's not working, what's
Right.
stressing you out. Here's how I'm feeling. You have to learn to communicate. You just
Sure.
simply have to.
Well, do you guys drink coffee together in the morning?
Yes.
Are you coffee drinkers?
Mike,
Scott,
I am
Scott and I, that's like the most important piece of equipment on the boat is our Keurig, our coffee maker.
So you use a Keurig, so you must be at a
Oh
marina.
yeah.
So again,
it does suck up some power, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. And I can always start the engine. But I have lithium batteries too, and
yeah,
I got a lot of power.
you have to. You do definitely. You want to remember that whatever amenities you love to have, see how you can do them without. Like I
You just
figured,
can't do it all at once.
right. I figured
Right, you
out how to
gotta-
make Worcester cheese, which is very expensive, but I found the recipe online, and now I make a huge vat of Worcester cheese for us. So you kind of figure out how to make things instead of being able to buy them because the accessibility is not there.
Sure.
Mike and I, when we started dating, I told him that there was something very important to our relationship to make it last, and that was that every morning he wake up and make me coffee.
That's what Salty Scotty does for me. I
And
mean,
it
it's
is
better than a diamond ring.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. The man does not do
Mike,
dishes.
good job.
He cannot do dishes. He cannot
I
clean
am
up.
dysfunctional.
He's dysfunctional, but that man makes the
Dysfunctional.
best coffee. And so every morning
Hey,
I give up.
that
get up,
saves
and he gives me a
everything.
cup
That's
of coffee.
totally worth it.
Yeah, it's sometimes finding that little thing that means something to them that can way outweigh anything else.
Well, I cook too.
Sort of.
Sort of.
What
Sometimes-
about two? What?
He over seasons the food sometimes. I'm a bit of a weenie.
Overseas? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
She doesn't like spicy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
do.
the
I love-
Minnesotan in me. And
Well, look,
cheese.
I'm gonna go ahead and we should probably go ahead and end this, but I would like to schedule because I like to keep it at an hour. Now we're over an hour.
Oh my
But
God.
but I'm not done talking to you guys because I would like to check in as you get further along in your journey.
Oh,
Would that
absolutely.
be?
Absolutely.
We could do. I don't know, every couple of weeks or once a month, whatever you're comfortable with.
The bright side is that we're on a boat, so it's fairly
Right.
easy to find us. We got a Bahamian SIM card because
Okay.
it was cheaper than carrying over our American stuff, and so we
Right.
have a data only plan.
Okay.
Someday when we can afford it, we'll get Starlink, but this obviously works really, really well. I think we only froze
I'm
once.
telling you, the Starlink, it was a game changer for me.
I
you
bet.
know. Yeah, and it's I go ahead. It's $150 a month. That seems like a lot, but you can cancel a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, it's like two cell phones. So
Right.
well,
Yeah.
we heard a rumor that it's inexpensive to purchase everything in Dominican Republic. So when we get to the Dominican Republic, we will find out, and we'll have to do a follow-up on if Starlink is more affordable there
Yes.
and why should people go.
Well, I got the RV package for $5.99, and the box comes. Mike, you wouldn't have any trouble. It was like the biggest thing, I had to pay somebody to like professionally install the wires to go through here and all that.
Oh yeah, he can do that.
And make something really cool. What do you call it when they do they connected? You got to help me out, Mike. The
mount?
connector. Yeah, the mount that was connecting to my solar mount and all that made it look real. I wanted to look professional, yacht quality.
Yeah.
So I paid somebody to make all that happen. But the actual setup, you pull up the app, boom, boom, plug it in. It was like boom, boom, and I'm live.
We have
it's
friends who
super
swear
easy.
by it. Yeah. We certainly
Absolutely.
have friends who swear
A
by
lot
it.
of cruising friends have it.
Yeah.
And they swear by it, but we're getting by on the data cards right now.
Yeah,
the
because you're
further
gonna
south
leave.
we go.
You're gonna leave soon, right? I mean,
Yep.
Yes.
Hopefully.
okay.
Maybe.
Well, we'll check in with you. Maybe we'll check in with you when you get to the Dominican Republic. You're gonna go through Turks and Caicos,
Right.
Maybe.
and then you.
Yeah, we'll probably. That's probably.
It's
our
beautiful there.
yeah.
It'll get warmer the further you go down. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And and then you're going to go to Dominican Republic, and then go across the Mona Passage.
I don't know. To Puerto Rico, is that the Mona Passage?
Yeah, that's another big crossing that people
Yeah.
mentally like to get. That's like you go
it's-
across the Gulf Stream. That's like your first big thing, and then you go across the Mona Passage, and because you got two oceans meeting,
Oceans,
You got
Right.
the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So it might be a little wonky, you know. All right. Well, okay. I'll stop talking. But
Hey, thanks so much. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
Well, good. I hope that we can do this again really soon.
Yeah.
I'll watch your Facebook page and kind of keep up where you are, and we'll do this again really soon if that's okay with you
Definitely.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Say hi
Let
to
me,
the kitties for me.
Okay. I'm trying to make this smooth to go out. I'm always a little rough with it. Here we go.